Peppa Pig was a huge part of so many kids' childhoods around the world, thanks to her lighthearted and fun adventures. But have you ever wondered what Peppa's wedding will be like in the future? And who she might choose to share her life with once she's all grown up? Future husband. Peppa Pig fans have been shipping the world's most famous little pink pig with two characters in particular for years. And yes, this theory got some serious confirmation. In the episode The Future, Peppa herself casually drops that she's going to marry Danny Dog or Pedro Pony, a cliffhanger worthy of a soap opera finale. And if you think this came out of nowhere, think again. Throughout the show, there are so many sweet moments, loving glances, shy giggles, and plenty of cute interactions that hint at their friendship possibly turning into something more. Because, let's be real, if there's no friendship, the relationship's not even gonna get off the ground, right? First comes wanna play, then comes wanna marry me. So let's picture two dream scenarios. One where Peppa marries Danny Dog, and another where she marries Pedro Pony. What would this dream wedding look like? Spoiler alert, it's going to be emotional. There'll be tissues everywhere. Mummy Pig will be crying like a fountain, and Daddy Pig will try to look tough, but completely fail at it. Today, we're diving into what Peppa's wedding could be like if she were grown up and starring in a whole new season of her show. Join us now for another video. Invitation. What's the first step before any wedding? Invitations, of course. And Peppa, being the artistic little pink pig she is, definitely wouldn't settle for something basic. No fancy print shop or digital design here. She wants markers, glitter flying everywhere, colorful paper, and a hand-drawn picture of her and Danny Dog holding hooves, with a giant heart in the background. A true work of art. Perfect for Grandma Pig's fridge. And naturally, they'll deliver the invitations in person to everyone, like it's a royal event, pig style. Now, if the groom is Pedro Pony, the story takes a different turn. Because you already know, Pedro is, let's say, unique. Instead of a cute romantic drawing, his invite would probably feature him dressed as a superhero flying with a cape, or maybe as a cowboy riding a dinosaur. And don't bother complaining, he'll say it's all part of the theme. And of course, he'll be super late getting them out. He'll show up last minute, all sweaty, saying he lost the guest list and left a few invites inside his lunchbox. But in the end, whether it's Danny or Pedro, one thing's for sure. Those invites will be unforgettable, either in the best way or thanks to way too much creativity. Preparations. The decorations alone could be an entire episode. If the wedding's with Danny Dog, get ready for a full-on nautical romance theme. Lots of roses. Peppa is a romantic after all, but with seaside touches, golden anchors, tiny boats as table centerpieces, and even a lighthouse-shaped cake. All because Danny is obsessed with the sea. And of course, his dad's a ship captain, so if it were up to him, the ceremony would literally happen on a boat. Don't be surprised if they end up doing it by a river, just to get that breezy, snout-tickling vibe. Now, if it's Pedro Pony, things take a very different path. Literally. He's a total daydreamer and full of quirky ideas, and he'll insist on getting married near that hill where he's always napping in the episodes. And the decorations? Wild West, of course. Fake cacti, real hay bales, and inflatable horses everywhere. Peppa will try to change the theme about 37 times, but Pedro will stand firm. This wedding is turning into a mini Old West village. And the music? That part could be legendary, because these two definitely want something epic. Who'll be singing? Could it be the one and only Rocking Gazelles doing a private concert? Madame Gazelle wouldn't say no to an invite that special. Imagine her decorating the stage while saying, "Another one of my students getting married. I must be getting old." Meanwhile, Mummy Pig would already be crying in the corner, saying her baby girl is all grown up, even if she still jumps in muddy puddles. The groom arrives. The groom's entrance, of course, would be a show all by itself. For Danny Dog's wedding, he'd arrive by boat, obviously, and not just any boat. No way. It would be a grand entrance with Grandpa Dog proudly steering the ship, honking the horn at least 15 times in a row, and probably waking up Mr. Bull from his nap. The boat would glide across the river and dock right in the wedding garden, because real sailors don't waste time with regular parking. Danny would step out in a crisp, white uniform, wind blowing through his ears, with full romantic captain vibes. The whole crowd would gasp. Except Mummy Pig, who's already been sobbing ever since she saw the boat turn the corner. Now if it's Pedro Pony, well, things go off script. First of all, he'll probably show up late, with Peppa already at the altar, arms crossed. But don't worry, she'd let it slide, because after all these years of friendship, she knows punctuality and Pedro don't mix. And his outfit? While Danny arrives in a clean suit with tidy hair, Pedro might show up in a superhero costume, or maybe as a space cowboy, because only Pedro truly understands Pedro. And when someone asks why, he'll just say, "Weddings are adventures too." Yep, each groom brings his own style. But in the end, with all this adorable chaos, what really matters is that Peppa says the big "I do," whether it's to a dreamy sea captain or a wild super cowboy daydreamer. Before we keep exploring Peppa Pig's future wedding, drop a comment below. Who's Peppa going to marry? Danny or Pedro?
Ooh. Oh. Ah!
The bride's entrance. The bride's arrival is going to be a full-on event, with gasps, tears, and of course, glitter floating everywhere. Peppa will walk in proudly beside Daddy Pig, wearing a white dress with pink accents, delicate butterflies, and a ruffle that looks like it came straight out of a dream, or maybe one of her fairy-themed episodes. The train on her dress will be so long that at least 3 little critters will need to carry it, while Peppa struts down the aisle like she's on a runway. In the background, a soft violin will be playing, because Mummy Pig insisted on classical music for her daughter's big day. If there are going to be tears, at least let them be elegant, right? And speaking of tears, Susie Sheep, Peppa's best friend, is already sobbing before the wedding march even begins. She's so overwhelmed, she might even mistake the bouquet for a pillow and try to hug it. And there's more. Since Danny Dog and Pedro Pony are good friends, it's totally possible that if Peppa marries one of them, the other will end up with Susie, just to keep the trio united. Imagine that. 2 couples, 1 ceremony, and 4 emotional parents all trying to hold back tears and hold up their phones to record everything. And let's not forget the final detail. The aisle will be covered in rose petals and tons of glitter. Because if it doesn't sparkle, is it really a Peppa wedding? Surprises. Another detail that'll make this wedding even more unforgettable is who's going to officiate it? Forget about Madame Gazelle and her calm, elegant voice. This time, the wedding officiant is none other than Miss Rabbit. Because let's be honest, she's already worked every job under the sun, so why not add marrying little pigs to the list? And how does she arrive? By helicopter, of course, because if you're gonna make an entrance, you better do it in style. She'll land right in the middle of the garden, petals flying, guests holding onto their hats, and Daddy Pig already stressing out thinking she's going to crash into the buffet tables. But Miss Rabbit lands with surgical precision, hops out and says, "Is there someone here ready to say I do?" But hold on! If you thought Madame Gazelle wouldn't be involved, think again. She might not be officiating, but she's absolutely there, keeping a close eye on the floral arrangements, repositioning the musicians, and giving that classic teacher stare to adjust the violin's volume. Once a teacher, always the master of organizing everything. After the emotional "I do," it's time to exchange rings. If Peppa marries Danny Dog, the rings will be stunning. A mix of pink, red, and blue. Pink for Peppa, red because she loves it, and blue because of course Danny's the Prince of the Sea, a romantic touch with ocean vibes. Now, if it's Pedro Pony, things go differently. He'll probably forget the rings completely. Yep, again, Peppa will give him that death stare. Thankfully, his mom will most likely be at the back of the ceremony holding the caramel-colored rings with red details and a shiny gem, saving the day at the very last second, because that's what a good mom does when her dreamy son gets distracted. Party time! After the tear-jerking ceremony, it's time for the real fun, the party! The guests won't waste a second jumping onto the dance floor. Or rather, the grassy lawn decorated with balloons, pennants, and a dessert table that looks like it came straight out of a sugary dream. And being the stylish little piggy she is, Peppa's not spending the entire party in her long ceremony dress. No way! She's got a second outfit. A shorter dress with pink ruffles, a bit of sparkle in all the right places, and most importantly, perfect for jumping in muddy puddles. Yep, because tradition is tradition. Whether she marries Danny Dog or Pedro Pony, there will be mud. And Peppa jumping for joy, splashing it on the groom's suit and Grandpa Pig's hat. And the cake? A showstopper. If she marries Danny, it'll be a multi-tiered cake, all white on the outside with touches of pink and blue, and on the inside, surprise, a blue filling inspired by the sea. On top, adorable mini versions of the couple holding hooves with a tiny boat decorating the scene. Now, if the groom is Pedro, the inside will definitely be chocolate, and the top, a creative mess. Peppa in a veil, Pedro in a cowboy hat, maybe even a superhero flying in the corner, because he just can't settle on one theme. And no one will complain, because it's going to taste amazing. Of course, George, the cutest little brother in the world, will be part of it too. He'll probably hop on stage, or on top of a speaker, and play a special tune on his keyboard, melting everyone's hearts. The whole pig family will be out on the lawn, dancing, laughing, and, of course, causing a little mischief in true "this party will go down in history" style. Will Evie be as emotional as Mummy Pig? And you can bet Peppa and her groom are heading off to a dreamy honeymoon destination, maybe Italy with a romantic gondola ride in Venice, or a Caribbean island recommended by Madame Gazelle. After all, that's a very important part of the wedding too, taking a well-earned trip after all the effort. Because when Peppa Pig gets married, it's not just a wedding. It's an epic episode with a happy ending, mud, cake, and a helicopter piloted by Miss Rabbit. In the end, whether it's Danny Dog or Pedro Pony, Peppa's wedding will be exactly the way she always dreamed it. Full of love, friends, family, joyful chaos, and of course, a good splash in the mud to finish it off perfectly. If you're a fan of the animation world, we've got 2 awesome videos you'll love to check out. Thanks for watching, and see you next time!